the athleticism, speed and everything, agility, and put him in that triangle, learning that, I think we're talking about, I don't think it's a question. I don't think there's a question who the greatest player would be. But to me, would he be better than Kobe?
He'd be a better winner. What happens with the triangle is this. I can't focus directly on you because it's UCLA cuts, right? It's
a lot of movements.
Everybody.
Tracy McGrady just shattered the internet with two words that every LeBron fan feared hearing: fake GOAT. The Hall of Famer didn't whisper it, didn't hint at it. He said it out loud, on camera, with zero hesitation. And what's crazier, he's not backing down. For years, we've watched legends dance around the LeBron debate, carefully choosing their words to avoid the wrath of his fan base. But T-Mac, he just threw gasoline on the biggest fire in basketball. This isn't about stats anymore. This isn't about rings. This is personal. And the fallout? It's already begun.
6 championships, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 5 league MVPs, never allowed a game to go to a Game 7 of an NBA Finals, 10-time scoring champion, 9-time All-NBA defensive first-team player, steals champion, former Defensive Player of the Year award winner. Did I miss anything?
There's something different when a Hall of Famer talks. It's not like your casual fan debating at the barbershop or keyboard warriors going back and forth on Twitter. When someone like Tracy McGrady speaks on basketball greatness, people listen. And they should. This is a guy who averaged 32 points per game in a season, a 7-time All-Star, a scoring champion, someone who went toe-to-toe with Kobe, Duncan, and Allen Iverson in their prime. T-Mac knows what elite looks like because he was elite. So when he sat down for an interview in early 2025, nobody expected the earthquake that was about to hit. The GOAT debate has been raging for years now. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. It's the conversation that never ends, the argument that divides families, breaks up friendships, and creates endless content across every platform. Most players stay neutral. They give the politician answer. Both great in their own ways, different eras, can't compare. But Tracy McGrady? He wasn't interested in playing it safe. The interview started normally enough. They talked about his career, his battles with injuries, what could have been if his body had held up, standard stuff. But then the interviewer made the mistake, or maybe the genius move, of asking him about LeBron's place in history. That's when everything changed. T-Mac's entire demeanor shifted. He leaned forward, his voice got serious, and what came out of his mouth next would send shockwaves through the basketball world that are still reverberating right. Fake GOAT, McGrady said, and you could feel the temperature in the room drop. I said what I said. The interviewer's eyes widened. You know that moment when someone says something so controversial that there's just stunned silence? That was it. But T-Mac wasn't done. He was just getting started. People want to crown him because of longevity, because he's been great for a long time. I respect that, but being great for a long time doesn't make you the greatest. That's not how this works. His voice carried the weight of someone who'd been holding this in for years. When I think about the GOAT, I think about someone who dominated their era without needing to handpick their teammates, without running to create super teams every time things got tough. I think about someone who made others better, not someone who needed others to make him a champion. The words hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Social media exploded within minutes, and we're not talking about a few tweets here and there. We're talking about trending worldwide, millions of impressions, every basketball account on the planet weighing in. LeBron fans came out swinging. T-Mac never won anything. He's just bitter. Couldn't get past the first round and wants to talk about LeBron? But here's the thing. That's exactly what T-Mac predicted they'd say, and he had an answer ready. People are going to bring up my playoff record. I know that, but that's exactly my point. I never had the option to call up my friends and form a super team. I never had the media protecting my image when things went wrong. I had to live with my failures, own them, and try again with what I had. That's what made the greats of my era different. That's what made MJ different. The Michael Jordan comparison was inevitable, but T-Mac went deeper than most people do. He wasn't just saying MJ has 6 rings and LeBron has 4. He was talking about something more fundamental, the very nature of how greatness is achieved.
All MVPs of all 6 NBA finals. LeBron has 6 losses. LeBron didn't show up in one NBA finals, which was against Dallas. Okay, that's a fact. I'm not. Now you started off your conversation, Kendrick Perkins, like why you got to be the one at the party that's talking about your birthday when it's somebody else's birthday or whatever the case may be. I'm the one that's got to do that because this is a time we should be celebrating the Herculean efforts.
Tracy McGrady started breaking it down piece by piece, and honestly, some of his points hit different when they're coming from someone who actually played at that level. First, he brought up the decision. Remember that? July 2010, LeBron on national television announcing he's taking his talents to South Beach. At the time, it was controversial. Now, looking back through T-Mac's lens, it becomes something else entirely. That changed everything, McGrady explained. Before that, if you were a superstar and you couldn't win, you figured it out with your team. You didn't go on TV and embarrass your hometown to join your friends. And here's what people forget. He did it again. When Miami wasn't working anymore, he went back to Cleveland whence they got pieces. When Cleveland fell apart, he went to LA. It's a pattern. The super team argument isn't new, but hearing it from T-Mac carried different weight. This is a guy who spent years trying to get past the first round with Orlando, who dealt with injuries and roster issues and never had a clear path to a championship. He never got to choose the easy route. I'm not saying LeBron isn't talented. He's one of the most gifted players ever, but talent alone doesn't make you the GOAT. It's about how you use that talent, the circumstances around your success, and whether you can honestly say you earned every bit of it. Then T-Mac went somewhere most analysts are afraid to go. He talked about the 2020 championship, the bubble ring. Look, they won. Congratulations, but let's be real about what that was. No fans, no travel, no real playoff atmosphere. Everybody was dealing with the same situation, sure, but some teams benefited more than others, and the team LeBron was on, stacked. Anthony Davis in his prime. That's not exactly carrying a team on your back. The comments section under every clip of this interview became a war zone. LeBron's supporters brought up stats, 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. No one else has done that, they screamed. But T-Mac was ready for that too. Stats are great, I love stats, but context matters. LeBron has played 21 seasons. Of course his cumulative numbers are insane, but Michael Jordan retired twice and still has 6 championships in a shorter peak window. Efficiency matters. Dominance in your prime matters, and if we're being honest, LeBron's finals record works against him, not for him. 4 wins, 6 losses in the finals. T-Mac pointed out that while getting there 10 times is impressive, losing more than you win on the biggest stage isn't exactly GOAT behavior. Jordan never let you feel like you had a chance. 6 finals appearances, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs. Perfect. That's what the GOAT looks like. Not someone who loses more finals than he wins. But perhaps the most damaging part of McGrady's argument was about the media narrative. He called out what he sees as a coordinated effort to crown LeBron regardless of the facts. The media has been pushing this LeBron GOAT thing for years now. Why? Because it's good for business, because LeBron is still playing and Jordan's been retired for over 20 years. There's money in keeping this debate alive, in making LeBron seem untouchable. But those of us who played, who know what real dominance looks like, we see through it. He even brought up LeBron GM, the nickname LeBron earned for essentially controlling roster decisions everywhere he goes, trading away young players, demanding certain acquisitions, holding organizations hostage with one-year contracts. That's not leadership, that's control. There's a difference. Jordan made his teammates better by demanding excellence. LeBron makes his teams better by replacing his teammates until he gets the right ones. You see the difference? Every point McGrady made was calculated, specific, and backed by years of watching this narrative unfold. This wasn't a hot take for clicks. This was a veteran of the game speaking what he believes is truth. The internet lost its mind, and honestly, can you blame them? Within hours, fake GOAT was trending #1 worldwide. Every sports talk show scrambled to get their hosts on air to react. Debate shows that normally plan their segments days in advance threw out their entire lineup to discuss this. The basketball world hadn't seen drama like this in years. LeBron's fan base, and it's massive, came with everything they had. They dug up Tracy McGrady's playoff stats. They posted side-by-side comparisons. They created memes showing T-Mac's teams getting eliminated while LeBron hoisted trophies. First-round exits don't get opinions on GOATs became a rallying cry. But something interesting happened. The people defending LeBron seemed desperate, almost too defensive. Because when you actually read what T-Mac said, line by line, it's hard to dismiss entirely. Even hardcore LeBron fans had to admit some of those points sting. The MJ loyalists, meanwhile, were ecstatic. Finally, someone with credibility was saying what they'd been thinking all along. Clips of McGrady's interview racked up millions of views across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Compilation videos titled "Tracy McGrady Destroys LeBron's Legacy" flooded timelines. But here's where it gets really interesting. Other players started subtly weighing in, not directly because nobody wants that smoke, but if you were paying attention to social media in the days following T-Mac's comments, you noticed things. Likes on certain posts, cryptic tweets that seemed to align with McGrady's perspective. Players from T-Mac's era especially seemed to be nodding along, even if they wouldn't say it out loud. One anonymous player, speaking to a media outlet that we can't name yet because the story hasn't fully broken, reportedly said, "A lot of us feel the way T-Mac does. We just can't say it publicly. The LeBron machine is too powerful. Your career in media after basketball depends on not making enemies with his camp." That quote alone tells you everything about where we are with this debate. It's not even about basketball anymore. It's about narrative control, media relations, and protecting brands. The major networks were forced to cover it. You had analysts trying to walk the tightrope, acknowledging McGrady's points without fully agreeing, defending LeBron without dismissing T-Mac entirely. It was uncomfortable television, the kind of uncomfortable that makes for incredible ratings. And through all of this, LeBron stayed silent. No tweet, no Instagram story, no statement from his team, nothing. And that silence, it spoke volumes, because LeBron has never been shy about defending himself or his legacy. The fact that he let McGrady's words sit out there without a response made people wonder, does he not have a good counter-argument? Is there truth to what T-Mac said that even LeBron can't deny? But let's zoom out for a second, because this is about so much more than Tracy McGrady versus LeBron James. This is about an entire generation of players who feel like their era gets overlooked in the modern rush to crown LeBron. Think about it. Guys like T-Mac, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, even Kobe in some ways before he passed, they played in the brutal mid-2000s NBA. Defense was physical. Hand-checking was still a thing for part of their careers. You couldn't just form super teams whenever you wanted. Free agency was different. The culture was different. Those players watch the modern NBA and see how much easier it is to accumulate stats, how much more player-friendly the rules are, how much more control stars have over their destinies. And when they see LeBron being called the GOAT, despite having advantages they never had, it stings. McGrady is speaking for all of them, whether they admit it or not. The definition of greatness has changed, T-Mac said in a follow-up comment, and not for the better. We're rewarding longevity and team hopping instead of peak dominance and loyalty. We're celebrating stats compiled over 21 seasons instead of championships won in 13. Something's backwards about that. He's got a point. The NBA has fundamentally changed in the last 15 years, and LeBron is both a product of and a catalyst for that change. The player empowerment era, where stars demand trades, force their way to bigger markets, form super teams at will, that started with the decision. LeBron didn't invent player movement, but he certainly normalized it at a level we'd never seen before. And now we're supposed to compare him to Michael Jordan, who spent his entire prime with one team, who built a dynasty through the draft and player development, who never once ran from the challenge? The question becomes, are we measuring greatness by the right standards anymore? Current players are watching this unfold very carefully. They see the backlash LeBron's getting from a respected Hall of Famer. They see the debate shifting, and they're learning. Maybe the super team route isn't the legacy builder it once seemed. Maybe there's something to be said for the harder path, even if it takes longer. LeBron's silence during all this is deafening. For someone who's built an entire media empire, who's constantly in the conversation, who's never been afraid to speak his mind, his lack of response to McGrady's claims feels significant. Is he unbothered? Does he think responding gives it oxygen? Or does he genuinely not have a good rebuttal?
So where does this leave us? Tracy McGrady hasn't walked back a single word. In fact, in the days since the initial interview, he's doubled down on social media, liked tweets supporting his stance, retweeted articles questioning LeBron's GOAT status. This wasn't a slip of the tongue or a moment of emotion he regrets. This is what he genuinely believes. And whether you agree with him or not, he's permanently damaged the unanimous GOAT narrative that LeBron's camp has been building. Before T-Mac spoke up, you could almost feel the momentum shifting toward LeBron. The media was gradually accepting it as fact. LeBron is the GOAT was becoming less of an opinion and more of a stated reality. But now, the debate's blown wide open again. And it's not just fans arguing anymore. It's Hall of Famers, former players, people who actually understand the game at the highest level. For LeBron, this comes at a crucial time. He's in his final years in the league. His legacy is being written in real time. Every game, every season, every decision he makes is being evaluated through this lens. And now he has to deal with the fact that one of the game's greats just called him a fake GOAT on the record. How does that affect his mindset? Does it motivate him to prove McGrady wrong? Does it frustrate him that despite everything he's accomplished, there's still doubters? Or does he genuinely not care what Tracy McGrady thinks? The basketball world is watching, waiting to see if LeBron responds. Will he address it in a press conference? Will he let his play do the talking? Will his camp leak something to friendly media outlets to counter McGrady's narrative? One thing's for sure, this conversation isn't going away. If anything, T-Mac opened the floodgates. Other former players might feel emboldened to share their real thoughts now. The LeBron is the GOAT crowd might face more pushback than they expected. And for fans, this is the gift that keeps on giving. The debate just got 1,000 times more interesting. Because when Tracy McGrady says fake GOAT, he's not just throwing shade. He's forcing all of us to re-examine what greatness actually means in basketball. Is it about cumulative stats or peak dominance? Is it about finals appearances or finals wins? Is it about loyalty or legacy? Is it about doing it the hard way or doing whatever it takes to win? These questions don't have easy answers, but Tracy McGrady just made sure we're asking them. So here's the million-dollar question that has the entire basketball world divided right now. Is Tracy McGrady just a hater who couldn't achieve what LeBron did, or is he the only one with the guts to speak the truth everyone's been thinking? And here's the real one. Can you honestly say LeBron is the GOAT when he's lost more finals than he's won? When he's needed super teams to get his rings, when legends like T-Mac are calling him out publicly? I want to hear from you. Drop your take in the comments right now. If you think LeBron is still the GOAT despite everything McGrady said, tell me why. If you think T-Mac is right and we've been lied to about LeBron's legacy, I need to hear that too. This debate just got nuclear, and I want to know where you stand. The GOAT debate will never die. But after what Tracy McGrady just unleashed, it's about to get a whole lot messier, a whole lot louder, and a whole lot more divided. This is just the beginning. When LeBron or his camp finally responds, and trust me they will, you're going to want to be right here to see it first.
So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because this story is far from over. The battle for basketball's greatest legacy just entered a whole new level, and we're going to cover every single moment of it. See you in the next one, and don't forget to drop your take in the comments. Let's settle this once and for all.